TV show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced and get happy with Dr. Marissa. And this show is about hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So I have shows and topics.
Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. Thursday, Friday, happy days.
Monday, Tuesday,
Happy days.
Wednesday, Thursday,
Happy days.
Friday, whatever.
Happy days.
What a day. Na-na-na, na-na-na.
I love you.
I love you too.
Best known as the mom from Happy Days, and she is a delightful 89-year young Marion Ross to my studio. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Dr. Marissa, this is such a treat for me.
Oh.
My goodness, you're a wonderment.
Which is exactly the kind of guest that I like. Those who have gone through life, good and bad, and then taken those experiences to alchemize them into the person they are now and doing good on the planet. I'd like you to welcome Corey Feldman.
If you're grateful for it and you say right away, thank you, God. Oh, my God, it's so beautiful. I'm so blessed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Then guess what? More good things will come to you.
Does this sound familiar at all? She's back again to mark my Cancer Awareness and Prevention Month show. Please welcome Fran Drescher. Hi, Fran.
On and supporting cancer schmance. I really appreciate it.
So what would you say are some of the biggest myths, Fran, that people have about cancer?
Well, I would say that they think that there's a cure for it.
Okay.
Instead of a cause for it.
This is the first call-in show when I get to be Dr. Marissa, the kinder, gentler Dr. Laura. And people call in to get their life tires balanced and their critical thinking or their BS, their belief systems, smog checked. And today I am delighted to have Malie calling in from Birmingham, Alabama.
We could go 90 days and end up having terrible sex. And then you say, well, the relationship's not all about sex. Well, if I'm not getting great sex from you, then I'm going to get it from somebody else. Right?
That moose just got put on the table. And I see Josh and Jim.
I have to agree
You're
with Clyde.
both nodding. Ramon's sort of half nodding because his wife's listening. But
I understood what was going to happen if Muhammad Ali's youngest daughter, made public that I was going to become a boxer. So I wanted to make sure this was the path that I wanted to go down.
you are absolutely fabulous, beautiful inside and out. And I'm giving you Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award today.
Thank you.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic point.
When I go, I'm gone.
Are you lonely?
No.
Nah, I knew that was going to be
But
the answer.
I surround myself with people. I mean, I'm always the one cooking for things. Or I'm always the one that decorates first and come to my house. All the orphans that have no place.
I'm going to have no place to go, so I can come over.
Come on over.
And life is so amazing if we can see it.
Get off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
Welcome. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on CNBC News, NBC News, and NBC Sports radio station KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Amazon Music, Tiki Live, Rumble, Podchaser, Streaker, Spreaker, and more. I am your hashtag positively opinionated host on this show about hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal, and no K words. No Kanye talk at all, formerly or now. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So I have topics and guests to that end. Today is show number 1142, 623 consecutive weeks on the air. And I'm so grateful for all those who have continued to support me, balancing out bad news on the in the news with some good news, even though they said it wouldn't last past the first year. And we are coming up on 12 years. May 1st, 2012 was the first episode, and we're coming up on 12 years. So I hope you'll be here to enjoy. I think that's in 2 weeks. I've lost time. I thought today was Friday, but it is not. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday Talent Series, and I have a great show lined up for you today. I got to do my on-location work, Dr. Marissa reporting live in San Diego a few weeks ago. Got to meet the Suit Nazi and a bunch of other great people. And one of them is Bill Banta, and I'm gonna show his interview today, as well as his mentor, who he worked with for 15 years. And I was honored to interview him. Bob Proctor, the Dean of Self-Development, who's on the other side now, but his words and legacy live on. So that's the topic for today. But before we get into all of that, y'all know the drill. We start with having breakfast with me every morning, every weekday morning on this show. And what that means is you take a bite of my gratitude sandwich, and 8 things specifically that you are grateful for. That's the top of the bun, outside of yourself. And then 8 things that you appreciate about yourself on the bottom of the bun. So let's get started. And if you are driving, please do not participate by putting it in the chat. But if you are not driving and you free subscribed to my YouTube channel, then please do put in the chat. I will invite also, I think we have Rick in the sound engineering booth, as well as my new guy. If you'd like to put in the chat what you are grateful for today, then it'll go faster. First thing is, I'm grateful that I got to witness the solar eclipse, which was absolutely incredible yesterday. Doesn't happen very often. It reminded me that we're not in control, and the planets are moving in orbit, and there's a gravitational field that was put there by a power that I call love or source. And last night they didn't crash into each other. Today we get a new chance for another day. I'm grateful that technology and NASA are able to, capture all of that so we can see it. I'm grateful that I put in the chat, the NASA chat, this is amazing, grateful. And then I accidentally paid attention to other people's chats, and there are some real interesting people out there who, one, this is all CG, it's fake. to a chance to, throw in their religious dogma fervor. It was, I'm so grateful that we have the freedom to believe as we do in America, even though some BS is a little crazier than others, some belief systems. But I'm not judging. I'm just making an observation. I am grateful that it is sunny again in Southern California. We've had a wonderful rain that we need, but at the same time, I'm solar powered. So I'm always grateful that when the sun's up. And I'm grateful that the Asian Oprah giveaway today is a pair of tickets to the Al Stewart concert at the Saban Theater. I'll throw that up there later as to the details, but please do listen towards the end of the show. I will give that pair of tickets away. So those are 8 things that I am grateful for. I don't see anything in the chat, so we'll just move on to what are 8 things that I appreciate about myself. Why do we do that? Well, we don't do that actually in the morning. I'm doing this to model for you what you're going to do tonight before you go to bed. There's a sleep, sleep, not apnea, but a lack of sleep epidemic going around, people having trouble sleeping, people taking drugs at all-time high to help them sleep. 85% of all diagnoses, people going to doctors is diagnosis of stress. And one of the ways you stress yourself out before you go to sleep is doing this. MS, meaningless scrolling. So if you're serious about wanting to sleep, then plug this in a different room. That's the challenge. That's Dr. Marissa's challenge. The second way to fall asleep more peacefully is not taking anything else, even though melatonin is not a prescription. Still, if you can soothe yourself with positive things, you're more likely to go to sleep than if you're thinking about what I didn't finish, what's going to happen tomorrow that I'm worried about, who done me wrong, all of those things, all of those thoughts, BS, belief systems. If you try to sleep with those, you're going to have a hard time. So instead of that, I want you to replace all those with the BS, the belief systems that are good about you. Because if we are able to approve of ourselves, we're less likely to walk around with antenna on saying, who likes me, who loves me? And that, my friends, is a very slippery slope, because you're never going to make everybody happy. Somebody likes you one day, they don't like you the next day. The most stable foundation is if you can care for yourself in a way that is more balanced. And that's why I'm all about balance. So this bottom of the button is a way to exercise your ability to say, you know what? They said something that I didn't like, but oh well, I'm not going to please everybody all the time. But I know that I am caring 80% of the time or 88% of the time. I know I'm loving 88% of the time. I know that I'm funny 88% of the time. My best thing about divorce, my husband called me not funny the whole marriage. And I get to own my funny now, happily divorced. So I am, caring, loving, funny. I'm creative. I get compliments all the time on my outfits, which is creativity showing through my dress. I am innovative. I am clever. I love playing with words. I am witty, and I am imperfect, and it's okay. So I don't beat up on myself quite as often as I used to. So there's 8 things that I'm going to affirm for myself before I go to bed tonight. And I'm inviting you to make a list. And that way you'll fall asleep better and you won't need some external drugs that have side effects the next day. All right. And that's it for Breakfast with Dr. Marissa. I hope that you will continue this good life habit, this hashtag Blisscipline for the next 28 consecutive days. That way you will build your muscle and a good life habit. And I promise you'll sandwich your day in the most positive way. And that's it for Breakfast this morning with Dr. Marissa. And here we go. I'm just going to go launch right into the video that that captures my interview with another great person that I met at Secret Knock, and he's going to introduce himself to you. So without further ado, here we go.
And this is Dr. Marissa reporting live from Secret Knock. And one of the best things about being there is meeting super duper new people who are actually connected to me in many different ways that you discover. And today it is no exception. I have Bill here with me, who turns out knows a lot of people in common, including PJ, Bob Proctor, who was on my show. He's worked with him. But before we get into all that, I'm going to have him introduce himself using my favorite way, which is I don't have an answering machine. I have a questioning machine. And when you call me, it says, who are you and what do you want?
I love that.
So, Bill, who are you and what do you want?
Well, I'm Bill Banta, and I grow people, and I grow revenue.
Oh.
And that's what I do. And it's great to be with you. It's great to know that we have these common connections. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. So that's a very interesting byline. You grow people and you grow revenue. So let's start with the people. Are they short? Are they, where are they sort of missing the boat that you need to grow them? What's a typical coming in position of someone that would want to talk to you to work with you?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges in the world today and in life today is the mental and emotional wellness state of the world, and identity crisis. There's a large identity crisis with humans. And it doesn't matter what level humans are, it doesn't matter how successful or how unsuccessful. There's a gap between who we think we are or who we think we're not. And so when you're talking about how short or how tall they are, that's the gap I'm talking about, is the ability. And I think that's where we specialize, is helping people to understand the reality of who they are, and so that they can leave who they think they're not.
Give me an example of someone who doesn't think they are or who they think they are not.
Well, I think most people run around with an identity that's been totally accumulated from their surrounding, their environment, generational, genetic, all these things that we look at people in the professional world. How many people in the professional world have careers, and if they're building careers, absolutely doing something that they hate. Absolutely waking up every single day, doing everything they can to push themselves to go to work, and all these high rises that were around, and they literally identify themselves only by their profession, which is not true.
Yeah, and that is a very common, I meet people all the time as an organizational psychologist, people stuck in their job, they hate their job, or they, they're so disgusted with their supervisor that they just say, tell me what to do, give me the paycheck, I'll live for my weekends, which is only 2 out of 7 days, right? And the way that we have structured business kind of leads to that. No?
Yes. Well, and even I mean, as I was walking back and forth to the Secret Knock here, the few homeless people that were here, and the compassion in my heart goes, that has become their identity, when the reality is that's the farthest thing from who they are. It's what they are right in this moment, right? So what's the difference between the person living on the street that feels imprisoned versus the person that's walking up and down the stairs in a high rise going back and forth to work? It's really the same interesting pressure. I mean, other than there's a social and economical difference, there's no question. However, the internal imprisonment between the 6 inches of their ears is what really most people fight in their lives because of an identity crisis. And I think that we're at the crossroads. I think the real pandemic is mental wellness, and beyond that, the crisis of identity.
Wow. So do you think that COVID has really created issues or just exasperated issues?
I don't know that it's probably COVID as much as it is just the times we live in. I
Yeah.
think it's just a culmination of just generational movement towards the position of our times that we live in. We are absolutely walking and moving towards this incredible pivot point where technology and the things that are changing. I mean, we're at a conference where they brought a robot in that can literally communicate with you and I as a human and using AI and all the things. We're at a pivot point where if we do not, and we're not willing to make changes, and that change factor causes us to be disrupted in our identity, because again, we associate ourselves with who we think we are by profession, by family, and all of these things. And so with all of the changes, with all of the things that are starting to happen in our world, I think that's the onset of comparison. I can go down all the list,
Right.
Social media. So I don't think it was the temporary defeat of what COVID might have done to the culture. I think it just it sped it up because it brought a lot of things into
To the surface.
Yeah.
Right. So people who come to work with you, what would you say are the statements that they make most often? Like, I hate my job, I hate myself. Give me those really key things.
I think one of the biggest things we see are literally humans that either one don't identify themselves with who they really are as far as the factual data. I have these skills, I have this ability, I have this opportunity, I have all these things. But what they normally say is that I'm not enough. We're getting these people who just feel like they're inferior or not enough. And I say that because we have really, really successful people, really, really high level people that are winning personally, professionally, and financially. And then we have people that are maybe just starting to come into the workforce. But the parallel between the one that's winning at a high level on the outside versus the one that's not winning at the, it really is the same. The not enough attitude right now is that because of comparison and because of the way the world is, because we're looking in a social media mirror all the time, and well, you look better, you look more pretty, you look better, you this, it's all outside.
Right.
Again, CEO,
Mhm.
all the way down to the person living on the street, there's still a comparison.
Right.
And that's probably the common language that we work with and that deal with. Because when I brought on, I grow people and I grow revenue, they go hand in hand.
Mm.
And what is revenue? I mean, revenue could be anything from our joy, our peace, our prosperity, our balance, or it could be definitely the financial revenue,
the
right?
Green, yeah.
The green stuff.
Mhm. Or not all green anymore, right? Crypto.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Wallace Wattles, he says, he talks about the first step in getting rich is to understand that, to see the truth regardless of our appearances. Well, what's the word rich, right? I mean, again, revenue, rich, our lives, our blessings, our peace, our joy, our fulfillment. And that's really the conversations we're having with individuals, is that they're not fulfilled.
Right. Now, you are blessed in the sense that you spent 15 years working with a legend. They do call him the grandfather or the original Mr. Self-Development.
Yes.
Tell me what you would say were the top 3 things or those moments that you will always treasure about working with Bob Proctor.
Thank you. Yeah, it's interesting. Looking back on it now, it's like, man, I don't know if I took full advantage of that opportunity, of having that of being around him. I met Bob at the age of 23. And so being in my early 50s now, when I say 15 years, I'm talking 20, half of my life I was mentored by Bob. And it's because I have an incredible spouse who literally drove me in that direction. But when you start talking about pivotal moments, I'll never forget, I was at one of the hardest times of my life. The economy crashed. It was 2008. And I had reached back out to Bob asking for help because I was in trouble emotionally, mentally, spiritually, all these things, financially. And I was in the real estate and the construction industry, and we had things going. And so the gentleman that took the coaching call was impeccably. He wanted to push me because he could see potential. And I wasn't nudging because I was in such an emotional state. And he says, well, hold on a minute. I'm on the phone. 10 minutes later, he comes back on. He's got Bob on the call. Well, the fascinating thing is that Bob and I had a common connection leading back to years earlier, even though we were in all his coaching programs, all those things. So we started talking about, says, oh, I totally remember that. And we started connecting the dots. And then I just almost like it all clicked. I'm on the freeway the next day, driving down the road. This Arizona number, 408, calls me. Hello, this is Bill. It's Bob. And he's calling me now.
Right.
And he's saying, where are you? And I said, I'm driving. He had me pull over. And he said, in order to get out of your state and the place that you are, he said, you've got to switch your gears into gratitude. He said, right now, I want you to give me 10 reasons why you're grateful. Right now. He said, I don't care where you are on the side of the freeway. Tell me right now. So I pulled over and I started, and he said, no. I want you to tell me why you're grateful in the future. I want you to tell me what's going to happen in your life. I want you to start telling me the things that are going to be part of your life in the very near future. And I want you to be grateful for it. And he just pushed me for 30 minutes. Give me. And now we got done. And then he said,
no. Give me some of the things that you said that he said, nah, that's not good enough. I can hear him say that.
You can hear him.
I can hear him say that.
I'm happy and grateful now that.
Okay.
Right?
Uh-huh.
That prosperity and income flows effortlessly to me.
Right.
I am at peace. I am joyful and I'm rested. Things that mattered.
But did you feel that?
Oh, he told no. We kept going until
you felt it, right?
And I remember the tears are come down my eyes, and I'm just so frustrated. And then he says, "Now, I want you to get out a piece of paper. I want you to write down. I want you to write down 3 people that you need to forgive. I want you to write down 3 people you need to forgive right now." I was in partnerships that I was frustrated with financially and professionally, and I'm writing their names down, and I am madder than hell. I'm mad, and he's like, "Now I want you to send them love." Send them love, and so this whole call went on for about 45 minutes, and I felt relief. And that was the first time that I went, wow, maybe that's what it means to have a mentor, somebody that wasn't going to give me the answers, but that it was going to push me. Now, I mean, I could go on and on. So shortly before COVID hit, I was in Toronto. Just he and I were at this conference. We had about 25 people in the room, and I was the only coach and sales representative there. And we're having breakfast, and he says to me, so what's been the biggest impact of being part of our organization? And I gave him a few answers. And then he said to me, he said, I've earned more money and created more impact in this world from the age of 80 to 85 than I did in all 80 years prior.
Wow.
And I put down my fork and went, whoa, wait a minute.
What the fork?
What the fork was that? That was awesome. I love that. Now, what, you did more from 80 to 85 than all 80 years?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
He said, it's just taking me this long to develop himself. One thing that was impactful is that Bob constantly was working on himself. I could call him at 5:30 a.m. Toronto time, and he was never not in front of a book. He was never not studying. He was never not writing.
He told me that.
Constantly there. And to work in this organization that we worked in, we were required to do it.
Right.
You want to work here, you're going to become part of it. You're going to be it.
Right.
And then probably the last thing is that I called him one time and I was crying about my results and life and all the things. And he said, well, Banta, the greatest part about this is you're your only problem, but you're your only solution. And he hung up on me. And I'm sitting there going, like, what?
Yeah.
And it was those moments where those nuggets.
Yeah.
I mean, I was, like I said, I almost wonder if I should have just took it a little bit more serious over those years.
No,
now that he's not here.
No regrets.
Right.
That's my motto. You know, 2 mottos. Don't die wondering for the future and no regrets for the past.
But I will tell you this, probably the biggest blessing that I've received in those years of being able to be around Bob, studying and being around him is proximity to people, connections, and the mantle, like the ability to just go, okay, go. And the day I resigned, I had that impression in the middle of the night. It was 1:30 in the morning where I'm giving you what you need. I'm over here playing on the other side of wherever there is, and it's time for you to go. And I felt that shift, like, go do you, go be who you are.
Right.
And, you might recall, because Bob would say, if I'm going to be free, I've got to be me. not the person you want me to be, or my spouse wants me to be, or my kids want me to be.
Right.
But if I'm going to be free, I got to be me.
Right.
And he said, if I'm going to be me, I better know who me is. I could hear that going through my mind all night. If I'm going to be free, I better know who me is.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one of the assets that we believe we bring in our company, is that our whole key process is to help you know who me is.
Right.
You.
Right.
So that you can be who you
Who am I really?
Who am I really?
That is, what I said at the answering machine.
Yes.
Who are you?
Who are you?
And if you think about it, it is one of the most important questions that you ask yourself in life. And yet we only ask when you're a little kid, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
And then when you're going to college, what do you want to be with the education? But that constant ask, who am I? And
Yes.
what do I want is so important.
Yes.
If you've just tuned in and you're wondering what's going on in studio today, this is Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and of course my YouTube TV channel, where you have all 1,130 plus some podcast shows. I think I was doing podcasts before they started calling them podcasts, and where you can get my red carpet playlist with interviews with people like Halle Berry, John Travolta, Quincy Jones, The Temptations, and more. And we're here today talking to Bill Banta, and he had the privilege and the honor and the opportunity to work with the man who started self-development work. He's from Canada, where I'm also from. Bob Proctor, and he is a good friend of my big brother, Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith, and then now we have other people in common like PJ as well. If someone is looking, like, you typically work with company leaders, right?
Yeah.
They're looking for ways in which to maybe come out of a plateau, or maybe they're actually going backwards. I know I get to work with people who are having what I call a midlife opportunity, right? They're very successful,
Yes.
but then they start crying, they can't stop, or they become spitters, as I call it, too, being very mean to their employees. What are the kinds of leaders that come to you for what kind of help?
Well, I think it's all of those. I think that it's anywhere from small to mid-sized entrepreneurs, business ownership. I mean, even employee engagement. I mean, that's such a big deal. We work with a lot of insurance and real estate companies as well, just to re-engage the human behavior that's conducive to success. And so,
And what is that? Give me a three. What human behaviors attribute to or can lead directly to success?
who am I? What do I want? And what's my process to go get it?
There you have it.
That's it.
There you have
Who
it.
am I? What do I
My
want?
questions from my answering machine. My questioning
Yes.
machine. Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I can still hear Bob say, and you've heard him a million times, what do you
What do
What do you
want? The other thing that struck me was you've been in self-development for a while. I've been in self-development for a while. And is there, I know for me, there was some shame. If I didn't have it all together,
Yes.
who am I to tell anybody or coach anybody? That added pressure on coaches, on leaders in this field. Tell me how you deal with that.
Well, I think that imposter syndrome is a fascinating thing. I'm a guy from a small town in southeast Idaho. Barely got through high school. Girls and gasoline and football were the only thing that were important, no formal education, all the things that would say no way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the way I've come through that is, one, recognizing who I am, and second, recognizing I have a gift and a talent. And it's the admitting that part. This is me. This is what I'm good at. And it took me till I was in my early 40s before I went, oh, it actually is me. I understand. I know you because I know me. And that's how I can help you as a sales professional. It's not, we teach, don't look at a dollar sign on their forehead. Find out what they want, find out why it matters, and lead them to that direction. And it's that human connection. It's that heart-to-heart piece that matters. And that's how I connected with that. And I think even from the CEO all the way down to the small entrepreneur, when you connect those dots and that small little gap that's not that big. I think it's Price Pritchard. He says, you know more than you think you know. And he said, the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. And so when we can connect the dots, when we're completely honest with ourselves, this is who I am, this is my lane, this is what I'm good at. Quit leaving all these other things up to chance. Quit being the jack of all trades, master of none, and just lock into where I'm good and stay there. Then I find joy and peace.
Now, the hiccup in that, though, is there are a lot of people who are forced to choose a major, to choose an occupation, and they think they're going to like it, and they go and spend a lot of money getting the degree or whatever, getting a job, working up the ladder, and they get to that point where it's like, you know what? I don't like what I do. I don't like this profession. So for me, the idea of, locking into one of a kind, that jack of all trades, I actually don't like that, because there's also a BS belief system that you can only do one thing in life, which I think is bullshit-talky.
Yeah, I
You
believe
can
that
be
too.
good and have many things that you like to do. How do you, but you're tied to the bank account or the salary that you're getting, so you can't move out of what it is that you. I have a client right now who's in that position. How would you coach someone like that?
Well, I think first of all, what you want, I think you have to give yourself permission to see yourself outside of that circumstance. You've got to stop and take the time, do the work to allow yourself to see what you really want. I don't think we're able to move. I mean, think of a GPS.
Right.
It only tells you where you are until you put something else in there that will show you where you want to go.
That is a very
So
good
it's
analogy.
that start that stops most people. You got to at least, even though you're stuck, that the person you're working with, stuck, fine. But you still have vision. You still have an inner ability to see farther than just the end of your nose.
Yeah.
So just take the time and get out a piece of paper. Bob used to say, writing leads to thinking, and thinking leads to feelings, and feelings lead to execution or movement. Get out a piece of paper when you're at the apartment or at the house and you're done being pissed off about your day, and start scripting out what you want. It's okay, because you were a child, I was a child, and there was a time we allowed ourselves to do something called dreaming and using our imagination. And I think you start there. You start taking this little idea and you put it in a GPS that's bigger than you and I, and you start walking towards it. There's 24 hours a day. We all have the same exact amount of time. It's how do we manage not our time, but our activities. And if you need something to do in your life that's going to inspire you, go serve. Get your eyes off of you. Go do something and go inspire somebody else, even in your career, so that it will open up those channels to start thinking.
Yeah.
What do I want? And get that GPS out and put a location there, even if it's just out of this career, out of somewhere else. What would it look like? I need this much money to max. This is my spend, 100,000, 500,000. Quit worrying about the how and start getting involved with why, what it is, and
what it is.
What is it that I want to do? You want to sell baskets or bubble gum or hot dog stands? Then go start researching it. Start Googling it. Google is one of our coolest tools in the
My assistant.
Yes.
That's my best assistant.
Yes.
It's Google.
Yes, we tell people all the time, sit down, what do you want, and start Googling. And
I do that too.
All of a sudden, it's that. The pathway starts to open. When one door opens, another door opens, and click. And when you start to dream again, and I know that word's really used a lot, but when you can open up those channels, now you can see. So being stuck, Bob used to say, you're not stuck because you don't have dreams and goals. You're just stuck because you won't let yourself attach to it. Just touch it. Give yourself permission, because most people are afraid of that unknown. They'd rather stay in their known shiitake than they would
something new.
Yeah,
it's because of fear, and fear to me stands for future events already ruined.
Yes.
So
and staying in that self-fulfilling cycle of doom.
Right. In that fear that I was just talking about, and then you said we sometimes just continue doing what's comfortable.
Yes.
Instead of doing something different.
Yes.
Talk to me about a tool that you could use when you recognize that you are, whether it's fear or
complacency or laziness, lack of focus, what can someone do to begin to move that needle a different way?
First of all, I think winning the day, you got to do something to break your routine. Most people, I think it's very common. We wake up, we roll over, we grab our phone, we go right to comparison, which is social media.
I call it MS scrolling, meaningless scrolling. Yeah.
And that's generally checking email. So the first thing I would suggest people do is start the day by winning the day. How about some self-care? When I look back at Bob, that time was so sacred to him. He would not touch anything until he had that 30 to 45 minutes, non-negotiable. And that's what taught me that first few minutes of the day, even if I've got early morning meetings, if I can just get 10 minutes for me, just to start me, if I can start out by scripting my gratitude, if I can just write out my goal, if I'm standing in the shower because I'm in a hurry, I can still work on me. I can still talk good to me, because most people, when they start the day, they start out with everything that's going to happen that's not right. They're scripting out all the minutia that's going on. They brought in yesterday forward.
Right.
But just start the day by winning the day.
Yeah. Wow. That's such a powerful concept, because a lot of us, like you say, we go right into, I got to do this. I didn't do that yesterday. I got to do this. I got to do this. And that is the worst possible way to start your day. Right.
I mean, it doesn't negate the problem. There's no rose-colored glasses. You're going to face the challenge.
Yeah.
Right? You can avoid it as long as you want, but it's tough.
Right.
However, but there is that time, that sacred time, where you can center yourself enough.
Right.
That is what, to me, starts to generate that I am enough.
Yes.
I am enough.
Yeah.
I'm big enough to handle this. I heard today, just because you're hurting doesn't mean you're weak.
Wow.
Just because you're hurting.
I love that.
I wrote that down. I went, oh my gosh, just because I'm challenged doesn't mean I'm weak.
No.
And so that winning the day, that personal sacredness of developing self for just a minute is the key to launching us forward a little bit.
And changing those habits.
Yes.
Well, how do people find you to work with you?
Thank you. You can find me on
the chill.
You can find me at Coach Bill Banta on Instagram. You can find us at keepelevated.com, and I also have a personal website at billbanta.com.
Billbanta.com, and I just love how you shared a bit of Bob Proctor with us, and shared I hear him saying, go Bill, which he has left legacy everywhere, but especially with someone that he worked with for 15 years. So,
it's amazing. I'll say this. Thank you. I'll say this. He didn't care about legacy. Bob cared about the people. You are part of his legacy. I mean, it's all of us collectively. And as long as we keep working on this just progressively, we're going to make a difference. It's going to matter.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
It's all about balance, peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live here at Secret Knock, and hoping that you have the best day ever. Thank you.
Fun.
That was really good.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah.
All right, that was Bill Banta. I hope you enjoyed that interview that I did remotely when I was reporting live in San Diego with Secret Knock. And peace in, peace out. Shout out to both Marissa and to the other Marissa and to Greg Reid for connecting us. And he definitely sounded like he's been working with Bob Proctor for 15 years. He's the dean, Bob Proctor is, of self-development. And we have a little time left. I'm just going to show you. I was honored to be able to interview him as well with my big brother, Michael Bernard Beckwith. So I'm just going to bring that to you now. I figured this was like the perfect time to highlight a great teacher who's on the other side. And thank you for the hearts, Always looking and enjoying your reactions to the show. This is Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News Radio, home to the Asian Oprah, AM 1050, FM 106.5, streaming everywhere, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and my YouTube TV channel, where if you subscribe, there's different levels. You can connect with me, support the show, as well as free subscribe for access to all past 1,140 some shows, as well as my red carpet playlist with interviews with Halle Berry, John Travolta, and more. All right, without further ado, here is Bob Proctor and Michael Bernard Beckwith. The whole belief system and do what we can on the other end. So let's talk about the other end. Being the best that we can be, seeing prosperity not as money is the root of all evil, which is what I understand your message has been around, Bob, for 50 some years, that it is okay to be prosperous, rich, abundant. And that kind of flies against some of the belief systems or the BS around spirituality, or, you know, we shouldn't talk so much about money. So let's hit that one.
Well, I think the problem with money is the problem, same with a lot of things. The real problem is ignorance. Money is not a problem. The lack of it's a problem. With some people, too much of it's a problem. But money's merely an instrument, and it's only used for two things. One is to make you comfortable, and the more comfortable you are, the more creative you can become. And the second is to extend the good you do far beyond your own presence. I have found that money will just make you more of what you already are. If you're not a nice person, you'll probably become despicable if you get enough of it. And if you are a nice person, you're going to become a nicer person because you're going to be able to do more good. So I see money as an instrument, and I think people don't understand money. Money is a reward received for service rendered, and it's an instrument that will enable you to extend the service you render far beyond your own presence. I'm all for earning all the money you can, and then put it to work. I've been living in the same house for over 30 years. I have no desire to get a better house. I like it here. I'm comfortable here. I'm into supporting Cynthia Kersey in her endeavors of building schools in Africa. And we now build a school every week and a half. I want to get to the point we can build one every day. And without money, we wouldn't be able to do that. So I see money as a great instrument, and that's all it is. It enables you to extend the good you do beyond your own presence. It doesn't make you a better person. It makes you more of what you already are.
Beautiful. Michael? Reverend Michael?
Well, absolutely. You know, Bob and I have been in this conversation for years, and Bob, its articulation of the prosperity principles are second to none on the planet. And I would agree with him that money is a promissory note, is a promise that energy is going to be circulated. So whenever there's an exchange of money, you're exchanging energy. You're saying in substance, if I go buy a loaf of bread, that means I'm giving energy to the individual that's selling me the bread, that he can take that energy and send his kids to school. They can go on to college. I mean, money is to be circulated, and we have to stop and understand that there's no lack of prosperity or abundance or opulence anywhere in the universe. That's a myth. It's a lie. It's a lie of scarcity. And so when one begins to understand that they're standing in the middle of a sea of abundance and infinite opportunities, infinite possibilities, and begin to think creatively, then money follows, or energy follows, opportunity follows. So money isn't the root of all evil. When years ago, when religious folks began to take vows of poverty, it wasn't about being poor. It was about not allowing money to be your God, so that service would be your God. I mean, Mother Teresa, as an example, took a vow of poverty, but she raised millions of dollars to do the work she needed to do to feed the poor and to feed those and to take care of those who were sick and impoverished. She needed money to do so. So though money wasn't her God in terms of, as Bob was saying, buy her bigger mansions and 20 cars and being materialistic, she still had the consciousness of raising a lot of money to do the work she needed to do.
would you say your two most important, influential mentors were in getting you to where you are today? And Michael, that'll come to you as well in the next question.
Well, actually, there's more than two. There's three or four.
Okay.
Ray Stanford is the first one. He is a man that I came across in 1961, and he gave me this book. The book has fallen apart now, but I've been reading this book every day now in another 10 days, it'll be 55 years. From October the 21st, 1961, Think and Grow Rich. And then I got into, just packing this up to take with me on the road. This is a recording that Earl Nightingale made. That's a record. On one side, it says Strangest Secret. On the other side, it says To Pay the Price. And I started to listen to this record. I should show you this because this is a bit of an antique as well.
See, aren't you glad I made you do Skype so we had show and tell?
Yeah, here.
And I'm glad kids know what vinyl is now too.
Can you see this?
Oh, wow. Is it the portable player?
Portable record player.
Wow, that's so cool.
Not long ago, Albert Schweitzer, the great doctor and Nobel Prize winner, was being interviewed in London, and a reporter asked him, "Doctor, what's wrong with men today?" The great doctor was silent a moment, and then he said, "Men simply don't think."
And that is a problem. I got into Think and Grow Rich, and then I got Earl Nightingale's condensed narration of Think and Grow Rich, which led me to that recording, The Strangest Secret. So those two men had a phenomenal impact on my life. And my life changed like night and day, and I couldn't figure out what I had done. I was living in England. I started cleaning offices to earn some extra money. And within a year of reading this and sitting down with Ray, my income had gone from $4,000 to $175,000. I remember when he gave me this book, he said, "If you'll do exactly what I tell you, you can have anything you seriously want." Well, I didn't believe that. I was broke. I was unhappy. No formal education. And I just didn't believe it. But I believed he believed it. And I think that did something to me. And so I started to do exactly what he said. I was living in England. I had open offices in about 7 different cities in Canada and the United States. And I was living over in England, and I had earned over $1 million, and I couldn't figure out what happened. I didn't think I was lucky. I didn't believe in luck. I had been raised to believe if you're going to do really well, you've got to be really smart. I knew I wasn't that smart. I'd also been raised to believe if you don't go to school, you'll never get a good job. I didn't have a good job. I owned the company. And I had only gone to school for 2 months, high school. And so I wanted to know what happened, and I started to study. I ended up going to work with Earl Nightingale and Lloyd Conant, and I met Leland Val Vanderwell and Dr. Harry Roeder. So there's 4 or 5 of them that really shaped me. And it took me 9.5 years, but when I got the dots to connect, all I wanted to do was teach it. And
did they
I
criticize
think we're
you?
led down the wrong path. I think we have to understand the essence of who we are. And that's what these people started to teach me. We are spiritual beings. We are a soul. We don't have one. And the soul is forever seeking its awareness of its oneness with God. So we're always attempting to expand our level of awareness. And I've never stopped studying, and I never will stop studying. I absolutely love to study this. I love to study who we are. And all I want to do is share it. That is my great motivation. When I wake up in the morning, that's what I want to do. And that's all I want to do. I don't want to do anything else. So I've had 4 or 5 people that really had a profound impact on my life. And they helped me begin to understand who I am. But I think it's a process. I don't think you ever get it all put together.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a process, and you keep becoming more and more aware. And the more aware you become, I think the more effective you are, the better you're able to share it.
How much of that was them believing in you, even though you didn't believe in yourself?
Oh, I think that was an enormous part of it.
Okay.
You see, I think what they do is they lead you to start to believing in yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I found there's a couple of things. First of all, everything you study, I don't care, you can get into Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Torah, the Bible, all the psychological books, all Hales and Carnegie's, and every place they tell you, you have to believe. And that was really playing on my mind because I was thinking, how do you believe? You know,
Right.
somebody said, just believe it. Well, how do you believe? And I was having lunch with one of my mentors, Leland Belvendewell. He was a brilliant man. And he's gone now, God bless him, but he sure helped me. And he said something, and like everything fell into place. He said, our belief system is based upon our evaluation of something. And frequently, if we reevaluate a situation, our belief about it will change. Well, most of our beliefs we inherited. We didn't originate them ourselves at all. Most of the beliefs that people have are absolutely absurd.
That's why they're called
They have no
BS.
foundation whatsoever. And when he said that, I got him to repeat it because it was like bells going off in my head. I suddenly found out how and why I changed. I had changed my belief system about who I was and what I was capable of doing. And I did that through reevaluating.
I took myself out of there. I almost didn't want to stop all of this. Thank you so much for somebody just gave me the finger or the thumbs up, that finger and hearts. I know. I am so fortunate to have had that interview. Bob Proctor is on the other side, but what a legacy he has left for all of us, and the fundamental truths about self-development, which is why he's called the Dean of Self-Development. And you can get the rest of that interview for free if you resubscribe to my YouTube channel. If you'd like to support it with interviews like that and more, please do go and free subscribe to the different levels as well. And I am giving away 2 tickets to Al Stewart. Al Stewart, he is performing at the Saban April 21st, the first person to go to drmarissa.life and fill in the email there. I will give you a pair of those tickets, and I'm sure you remember Time Passages and also the Year of the Cat. That's what he's known for. So that's your Asian Oprah giveaway for the day. And we are running towards the end of the show. I hope you really enjoyed both the interview with Bill Banta, who worked with Bob Proctor for 15 years, and then the master himself, and then my big brother. That interview was amazing. Sorry, I had to cut him off short because I wanted to spotlight Bob Proctor, but you can get that whole interview anytime at your leisure. Okay, that's it. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Please tune in for Doctors in the House. And we're talking about can you handle the truth? That's our topic for tomorrow with Doctors in the House and Dr. Tiffany Tate and Dr. Marissa. Keep it here for all the balancing out the bad news with good news. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live from my living room on Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa. It's all about balance. Peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace. Now go and have the best day ever. We'll see you tomorrow.